So I have been flying the DJI Neo 2 for more than a week now, and I think I finally get it. Specs tell one story on paper, but once you actually fly these things back to back with the original Neo, the gap feels very different. This video is not just a spec sheet comparison. I am going to talk about what actually changed, what still feels the same, and who should upgrade honestly. If you already have the original Neo, you will know by the end whether Neo 2 is worth your money, and if you are buying your very first drone, you will know which one to pick and why. Alright, let's start with something a lot of you asked about in the comments: controllers and compatibility. The original Neo already works with DJI remotes out of the box. You can pair it with RC2, you can pair it with RCN2, no weird mods, no hacks, it just works. That is one of the reasons people loved it so much for casual FPV style flying. Neo 2 also works with RC2 and RCN2, but there is one big difference. You need that small digital link module attached to the back of the drone. Once you clip that on, Neo 2 speaks the same O4 language as the remotes and goggles, and the experience is very similar. Now, the point is, for most people the feel of controlling them with RC2 is almost the same. Where Neo 2 starts to pull ahead is not the controller itself, but what the drone does with your inputs once it is in the air. Let's talk design and size, because the internet has been arguing about this non-stop. A lot of people are saying Neo 2 is huge now, almost Avata 2 size, and the original Neo was this tiny pocket rocket. Side by side on a table, yeah, Neo 2 is a bit bigger and a bit heavier. The original Neo sits around 135 grams. Neo 2 comes in around 151 grams without the digital link, and a bit more with it. So you are looking at roughly 15 grams difference. In the hand, you can feel it. In the air, you appreciate it. That extra weight makes Neo 2 float through wind instead of getting slapped around by every tiny gust. Fast turns feel less twitchy, and your lines look smoother without you doing anything extra on the sticks. So no, it is not Avata 2-sized, not even close. It is still in that palm-friendly, park-friendly category, but it behaves more like a serious drone once you start pushing it. Now, the little front screen. When I first saw the leaks, I honestly thought, okay, that's cute, but do we really need this? After flying it for a week, I kind of don't want to go back. You know those moments where you power on the original Neo, connect the phone, wait for the app, just to check if the battery is fine or if GPS is locked? On Neo 2, you glance at the front screen, and you know, battery percentage, flight status, basic warning icons, all right there. It sounds small, but if you are flying a lot, it saves 30 seconds here, a minute there. Over a full day of shooting, that adds up. Under harsh sunlight, it is still readable, and if you hand the drone to a friend, they feel less lost because the drone itself is telling them what is going on. Let's get into the thing everyone cares about: flight time. On paper, both drones say 18 to 19 minutes. In the real world, that is not what happens. With the original Neo, when I flew the way normal people fly, some full throttle, some braking, some hovering, a bit of wind, I was usually landing around the 10 to 11 minute mark with a safe buffer left. With Neo 2, doing the same kind of flying, I am landing closer to 13 to 14 minutes. Not 19, not some miracle number, but still a noticeable improvement. You feel like you can finish one more shot before you have to come back. The new battery chemistry and power management seem more stable, temperatures stay a bit lower between flights, and the drop from 30 to 20% feels less sudden than on the original Neo. You still have to respect the battery, but it is less, oh no, I am out, and more, okay, I have time for one last pass. Now, the gimbal and footage, because this is where Neo 2 really starts to separate itself. The original Neo has a single-axis gimbal. It can stabilize, tilt, and then it uses electronic stabilization for the rest. It looks good for the size, and it was impressive when it came out. Neo 2 brings a dual-axis gimbal on top of DJI's electronic stabilization. When you put that in the air and fly the exact same line you flew with the original Neo, the difference is not subtle. High-angle push-ins over water stop looking nervous. Fast orbits around a subject stay level and confident, even when wind is poking the side of the drone. Horizon still moves a bit in extreme crosswind, but the recovery is smooth and quick. If you like to grade your footage, both drones have that familiar DJI look, slightly cool whites, protected highlights, but Neo 2's clips feel cleaner. Less micro wobble, less warping at the edges, and more detail in the shadows. You can push it harder in post before it breaks. Now let's talk about the brain of the drone, because this is where it really feels like two different generations. The original Neo already flies well. It is fun, quick, and easy to control. But you can tell it is doing mostly basic stabilization and obstacle avoidance. When you let off the sticks, it just stops. When wind hits, it corrects, but you see that little wobble as it fights back. Neo 2 feels like the software went to school. DJI's smart flight intelligence actually behaves smarter. If you repeat the same coastal line 3 or 4 times, Neo 2 starts to anticipate where the gusts usually hit and corrects earlier. When you dive down through a gap and pull up, the gimbal already knows you are about to level out and smooths the motion instead of overcorrecting. It is like the drone is learning your rhythm, not in a creepy way, but in a, okay, I see how you like to fly, let me help you make it look cleaner kind of way. It still gets confused by harsh shadows or reflective glass, so you cannot switch your brain off. But it is the first sub-200-gram drone where I felt that the software is actively working with me instead of just stopping me from crashing. Now, about obstacle sensing and safety. The original Neo has mainly downward sensors. Great for hovering and basic safety, but it will happily fly into a pole if you are not paying attention. Neo 2 adds omnidirectional obstacle sensing. You see those slim black bars next to the camera? Those are the forward vision sensors, and over the top and backside there is more going on too. In practice, if you are flying through tree-lined paths or near buildings, Neo 2 will gently route around obstacles instead of chopping your clip with a full emergency brake. It will slow down, slide a bit to the side, and keep the shot going. It is not magic, and you can still hit something if you try hard enough, but for everyday flying, it gives you more confidence to get close without feeling reckless. Let's talk about those smart modes and tracking, because a lot of people buy Neo for content first, flying second. Both drones have one-tap short video modes, but Neo 2 builds on that with smarter follow options, running or riding scenes, spotlight, circle, and an overall faster maximum follow speed. On the original Neo, tracking works, but you can feel the limits. It loses subjects more quickly and takes longer to lock back on. Neo 2, just feels less stressed. Human subjects and cyclists are detected faster, and even when the background is busy, it recovers lock more reliably. Gesture controls on Neo 2 are also better. I can raise my hand, start recording, stop recording, and do a quick selfie shot without false triggers. The original Neo has some of this, but it is not as confident. Now, I know people are going to ask, is Neo 2 only about upselling accessories? Let's be honest, the ecosystem is more expensive. New batteries, new charging hub, digital link module, it adds up. But here is the reality. The drone draws more power, the motors are stronger, the gimbal is more complex, and the obstacle sensing is way more advanced. It is not realistic to reuse the old batteries safely, and the digital link module is what lets it join the same club as the bigger O4 drones. So if you want that full long-range RC2 experience, you pay extra. If you just want to fly in parks and backyards with your phone, you can still do that, and honestly, for many people that will be enough. Now, who should upgrade and who should chill? If you already own the original Neo and you also have something like a Vata 2 or a Mini 5, you probably do not need to rush. You already have stronger wind performance and better camera quality in your other drones. The original Neo can stay as your small, fun, toss-in-the-bag option. But if the original Neo is your only drone and you find yourself fighting the wind, missing shots because tracking struggles, or wishing you had just a bit more flight time and confidence, Neo 2 is a very real upgrade. And if you are buying your first drone, honestly, Neo 2 is the one I would recommend right now. It is forgiving without being boring. It gives you room to grow, lets you experiment with tracking, goggles, and RC2, and still fits into that super compact casual category. Let me give you my personal checklist after flying both. Launch and lock. Neo 2, faster and more confident. Hover and hold. Neo 2, rock solid, especially in sketchy GPS. Gust management. Neo 2, noticeably better. Prop noise, a bit softer and less annoying on Neo 2. Gimbal behavior, cleaner, more cinematic, less micro jitter. Battery reality, original Neo, roughly 10 to 11 minutes for me. Neo 2, around 13 to 14 in similar conditions. Learning curve, both are easy, but Neo 2 feels like it wants you to win a bit more. Weak points? Neo 2 batteries are not backwards compatible, accessories are pricier, and the obstacle sensing is good but not something you should fully depend on. And yeah, it is slightly bigger, so if you loved how tiny the original Neo looks in your pocket, this might bug you a little at first. But in the sky, that extra size is the reason it feels more planted and more cinematic. That is the trade-off. So, that is my honest take after a week of flying both. The original Neo is still fun and very capable. Neo 2 is what happens when DJI takes that idea and pushes it toward mini drone that behaves like a grown-up. If you want to grab either of them, I will drop affiliate links for both the original Neo and Neo 2 in the description. That helps the channel at no extra cost to you. Now I want to hear from you. If you already own the original Neo, are you thinking about upgrading or are you staying put? And if you are brand new, which one would you start with and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you like honest testing from someone actually flying these in the real world, not just reading the spec sheet, consider subscribing so you do not miss the next round. The point is, these little drones are getting really, really good, and Neo 2 is the clearest sign of where DJI wants this category to go. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.